Let's call the June 16th, 2022 Traffic Safety, Bikeways, and Pedestrian Committee meeting to order. I'd like to bring up the minutes for the approval. But before I have a motion, I just wanted to ask if I didn't hear this right or I did. When we were talking about I brought up putting input into, any city street projects. My intention, of course, is always early on and advisory as to what can be safer, not an engineering input, but just a safety measure input. Did I not get that correct, or or did I guess I'm asking if I got correct was other people's agreement with that or not?
I agreed.
You agreed, yeah. Mm-hmm. Rick, I thought you had said, early on too, right?
I think I did,
Yeah.
if I remember right.
Yeah, and like I said, I've never wanted to put any engineering input because I know I'm not an engineer and I don't even try to pretend I am. So I just wanted to see if.
I can add that. You're talking about planning of streets.
So any time there's a street project that early on would come to the committee, that we could at least offer safety suggestions.
I will add that. So you can do the minutes as amended.
Okay, so
And I don't remember, was there some comments to the contrary to that? I don't remember that.
I didn't, but I wasn't, it wasn't captured. I didn't think
Oh, okay.
in the minutes. Maybe I was wrong again, but anyway, so I ask for a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Do I have one?
So moved.
I second.
Okay, we have a Rick motioned, Tammy seconded. All those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, say aye. Aye. Any?
Abstain. I wasn't here.
Right, yeah. Okay, and I don't think that covers everybody, so there's no no's. Okay, so that passed unanimously by everyone who could vote on it. Debbie?
Yes.
So Hirsch is here, should we wait to have him vote on it too, or is, okay,
I'll just say that too.
okay. All right, next on the agenda is the appearance of interested citizens. This is a time for someone who's a resident of Keizer to bring up a topic that is not on the agenda. Do we have any of our audience that would like to bring up something? Okay. And if you could please state your name and city of residence.
Am I okay to move this?
No, you're not okay to move that, but you can still, I think we'll still be able to do it.
Okay. My name's Rob Witters. I'm a resident of Keizer. I'm coming here, I guess, representing the West Keizer Neighborhood Association, and I just really wanted to see if there was any update. We brought the request for traffic plan last time for, I don't know if it was last time or before, at the traffic table over on Cummings and the stop sign, and I guess we're here just to find out if there was any progress on that, if anybody knows, and if not, I guess really just to kind of keep it fresh in everybody's mind that we do believe this is important and a benefit for the citizens who live in that area, so.
Okay, well, I'm going to let Mike talk about that.
2 studies have been completed, and we'll be doing another one. That's on Cummings. And then those will go to the traffic engineer, and that will be reviewed, and then we'll get that information, and we'll know where we're at with that. So we're still waiting to finish one of the traffic studies. So,
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I have a question. I don't know who can answer it from the city, but I know we have the speed counters, or however you want to call it, but then we also have the board that flashes your speed. Do those track the speeds too, or just the, okay. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay.
Well, Mike, just a question of Mike. When you said that, I assume you meant the field studies have been done on those.
Yeah. The shoreline field study's been done, and 2 out of 3 of Cummings have been done. We're waiting for 1 more in Cummings, and then all that information will be sent to traffic engineer to look at and review, to then come back and have Public Works look at it and move forward from there.
Okay. Just writing this down. Okay. So seeing as no more interested citizens wishing to speak, we'll move on to number 4, the Historic Columbia River Highway Bike Trail, and that would be Rick leading that one.
And I'm going to do that from down there.
Very cool.
We started Columbia River Bike Trail.
Okay.
It is so cool.
All right, can we go ahead and start this? Okay.
That'll be my adventure.
So where does it go from where to where?
Corbin.
Corbin, okay, to,
Well, as I said when I brought this up before, this isn't a facility that's here in Keizer, so in that way, it doesn't affect our mission, but we spend so much time talking about bikes, facilities, and so forth. This is something very unique in the country, maybe in the world, and I thought maybe you'd all like to hear about it. So that's what we're doing. The original US 30, the Columbia River Highway, is officially designated as a scenic highway all the way from Troutdale to the Dalles. And it's in the historic Columbia River, or in the Columbia River National Scenic Area. The restorations efforts started on the highway, and I'm talking about the highway because in a lot of the areas, the bike facilities is the old highway itself. The restoration of that started back in the mid-'80s. And at that time, I was the Portland region manager, and I remember that we did Christ studies on wood guardrail so that it can look like the original, but complies with all the current Christ testing. And we developed molds and so forth for the concrete mileposts so that they look exactly like the originals did. The old highway has always been open to traffic from Troutdale past Multnomah Falls to John Neon State Park, maybe about, 4 miles to the east of Multnomah Falls. And then again from Mosier to the Dalles, it's always been open to traffic. And those sections are where the state bike trail is facilitated and always have been and still are to these days. But between Neon and Mosier, until this project really got underway, bicyclists had to use the shoulder of I-84. And in lots of cases, that can be hazardous. There's in that section between Neon and Mosier, there are some areas where the old highway still exists. In some places, it's up in the trees, and you'd never know it's still there, but it is buried under years of fir needles and those kinds of things. But in a lot of other areas, the road was completely destroyed, wiped out when the water level I-84 was built. So starting along with the restoration of the road, there was also an effort underway to reconnect those sections so that a bicycle rider eventually can travel all the way from Troutdale to the Dalles without ever having to go on to I-84. This has been a really strong partnership between ODOT, the U.S. Forest Service, the Federal Highway Administration, the Gorge Commission, Congress, especially Representatives DeFazio and Blumenauer. And in those early days of getting this started, a lady named Jeanette Close was an ODOT employee, and she was the manager of this whole program. When Jeanette retired from ODOT, and it's been a number of years ago now, she formed the Friends of the Historic Columbia River Highway to kind of keep doing the same work she'd been doing, only not getting paid for it. But this private organization really is then provides an avenue for advocacy, fundraising, public awareness, and I'll mention the bike ride here that's coming up, and I'm going to talk about it more in just a little bit. But those are the things that this private organization's been doing that some of the public agencies aren't able to do. There have been some really significant improvements made to the Oneonta Tunnel. I don't know if you know where the Oneonta Gorge is, but the original highway went through a fairly short tunnel through a rock point that sticks out there. Many years ago, the highway was rerouted around that point. As part of this effort, that tunnel has been reopened, strengthened inside, and is now part of the trail for bicyclists. The Mosier Twin Tunnels, just west of Mosier, on a section of highway that's been closed for many, many years, are two tunnels up there that were filled with rock way back in the 50s because rock fall at one end had gotten to be a real problem, and ODOT didn't want people in there at all. Those have been reopened, and you'll see that in this video right here that we'll show in just a minute. So those are open. The section from Yeon State Park west for maybe 3 miles or 4 has been recently built, and I say that because that's visible from the I-84 when you go by there. You'll see structures and bridges and walls that look like they were built in 1915 when the rest of the highway was built. I mean, they're the same design. They don't have the moss on them yet, but other than that, they're the same design. And then the other significant one is Shell Rock Mountain, just west of Hood River a ways, where this talus slope comes right down basically to the shoulder of I-84, and it's contained with a steel bin wall there. Well, there's now that section of trail has been established behind that bin wall, protected from that slope. And again, you can see all that from the highway. There's three places then to be completed yet to say, okay, we did it. You can ride all the way from Troutdale to the Dalles. One, there's a stairway right near Eagle Creek, right in the vicinity there of Bonneville Dam, where the old highway, where the new highway goes through the long tunnel there. The old highway is up above it and goes around, and just shortly after that, there's a stairway where bicycle riders have to go down the stairs to get back onto the level of the bikeway. The effort there will be to provide a ramp and get away from that stairway. And that solution has been identified, and at some point that will be done. Mitchell Point, which I'm also going to talk about, originally there was a highway tunnel there that's been destroyed, and recreating that is underway now, and I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. And then the last 5 miles then from Mitchell Point to Hood River is the last section that is left to be completed. So I'm gonna start this video. This is an area where the bike ride is happening this Saturday. If anybody is inclined to go to it, the registration is still open. It's $45 to register, $10 more if you register that day. But it goes from the Discovery Center. The registration happens at the Discovery Center in the Dalles. It goes from there on the old highway to Mosier, And then upon this section through the Twin Tunnels that is not open to traffic, but is part of the old Columbia River Highway, all the way to, it's called the Mark Hatfield Wayside, which is just short of Hood River. So it's about 19 miles in length. There's mechanic stations at 2 or 3 places. There's refreshment stations at 2 or 3 places. Most people ride it round trip. You wouldn't have to. You could leave a car at the Hatfield Wayside and then drive to the Dalles and only do it one way if you chose to. So anyway, this video is in that area, and I wanted to show it because it shows what some of the improvements already been made, and especially that tunnel. So Debbie, I'm going to go over to full screen
There you go.
and hit that.
It's just so beautiful. Steve and Val are from Lacey, Washington. As avid hikers, today they've come to the gorge.
Gorgeous, out through the countryside, all of the farm country.
We keep hearing about it, so we're going to take our own pictures today and have a good time. They start just west of Mosier on the historic Columbia River Highway Trail, a good spot for hiking or biking.
It seemed like a great thing to do with the historic, especially the tunnels, the historic nature of it.
He's talking about the Twin Tunnels, just one of the wonders to be found just west of Mosier on the historic Columbia River Highway, and this is where my trail starts today. The area is well maintained by the nonprofit Friends of the Historic Columbia River Highway. Today, several board members are my tour guides.
It reminds me of how volcanic Oregon really is. That's underneath the whole trail, the whole state. They're stunning for the appetite of it when you're bicycling.
From the freeway down below, these kind of experiences are fleeting. On the trail, they become real.
This is one of the greatest unique things that Oregon has to offer the entire international world.
The Friends of the Historic Highway have been adding to the experience for 35 years.
Oh, I love the view from here. The Coyote Wall, which we hike all the time. There's also these amazing rocks that kind of look like a castle.
Board member Lavina Raman is at the Ellipse Viewpoint, one of the projects the group has made possible. Along with access trails, their work can also be seen in historically accurate rock wall builds and road barriers. Their ultimate goal is to complete the trail.
So that we can go all the way from Portland, Troutdale to the Dalles. The old highway was built by first looking for the beauty spots and then figuring out how to take people to them. So it was designed to be a scenic route.
Their work takes money, in addition to state and federal funding. It's why they're having an August 28th fundraiser. The 14th annual Gorge Ride covers 38 miles from the Dalles to Hood River and back. Plenty of time to take in the highlights of the trail.
It is windy, but it's particularly windy right here because of the tunnels.
Even on this relatively calm day, you could feel it. The restored Twin Tunnels are full of history.
So they were snowbound in 1921.
And windows that show off Chicken Charlie Island. When you get to the tunnel's other side, you're under a huge rockfall catchment. Oregon looks different
And
here.
we are transitioning between the dry oak savanna area and the conifers on this side of the tunnels.
Two different masons worked on each side of this tunnel. You can kind of tell if you look closely.
I think I see one eye and a smiley face on that one there.
Sammy notices something in the view the trail makes possible to see. The Friends feel it's a great reason to help complete the trail.
Being able to see people go all the way from Troutdale to the Dalles without being on the freeway will be truly amazing. Bicycling is a perfect speed to notice things.
It is a great access to the world.
On the Columbia River Historic Highway near Mosier, Stephen Redland, KGW News. Let's get out there.
Chloe and Rennie went down the sand dunes. We need a real adventure.
Make
Okay,
it
so
real.
Debbie, you
Compare
said that
travel
other one?
credit cards that help you book adventures beyond your backyard. Compare your way there. Find the smartest financial products for you on NerdWallet.
There, and then you can
Okay,
just,
won't start it quite
okay,
yet.
we don't, but this, you want to X out of that one, press that little X right there. And that will be the next one,
Okay.
okay?
Great, thank you. By the way, I need to say Debbie has really been a great help putting all this together for me, so thank you, Debbie, very much. This last video is about the Mitchell Point Tunnel, and for me, this is kind of the most exciting part of the whole thing. The original highway went through a tunnel here, and it had carved windows in the rock, so where you could look out into the Columbia Gorge. It was closed, filled full of rock in the mid-50s, and then when the water level I-84 was built, basically the whole side of the tunnel was blasted off to make way for that highway down there. There's a kind of a ledge there that was part of the roadbed, but the whole character of the tunnel has been gone since 1966. When it was built, it was considered two things. One is the most expensive roadway in the world that had ever been built, that section. And it was really the kind of the jewel of the whole historic highway. It was the first roadway tunnel built in the United States. So again, we're talking about 1915 and 16 when it was built. So this project is recreating that tunnel. It'll be just for bikes and pedestrians. The project began last year. The boring is done. A human being can walk through the tunnel now. I don't think it's open to the public, but the bore is through there with the windows in it. The project will be completed next year, and at that point, then it'll be open to the public, and the trail will go through there. You know, when this is finished, I really feel that this will be a worldwide attraction, and you'll see people saying about that in this video. Because already people come from all over the United States to ride the trail that is open now even. So when this is built, it's going to be that much more spatial. So this isn't too very long.
Mitchell Point is 5 miles west of Hood River. It's just huge basalt cliffs. It's a point that sticks out, so you have to kind of go around it on I-84, but yet you can see in both directions so far down the Columbia.
Mitchell Point was that tunnel that was the most attractive thing that visitors to the area wanted to see. Everybody wanted to know, where's that?
They had to destroy the original to make this freeway.
The interstate came along, and so there were segments of the highway that were abandoned in a sense. They were just left to deteriorate. And so trying to make sure that over time they didn't deteriorate too bad because of the plans we had for a state trail.
These trails will provide excellent recreation opportunities for Oregonians of all ages to enjoy.
The initial goal was an individual could get on a bike in Troutdale and ride all the way to the Dalles without having to utilize I-84.
This is, going to connect and allow people to go, however far you want to go from Troutdale.
Es una aventura. No sé cuántas horas te tomaría, ¿no? Pero sería una aventura. Y en bicicleta yo pienso que si lo haces, vas y vienes, ¿no? Pero estaría padrísimo. Y es súper bonito y qué bueno si van a hacer este proyecto.
I don't know that I'll be able to bike all the way from Troutdale to the Dalles, but I can do it in segments. The Mitchell Point Tunnel and the section out of Hood River heading west were saved for last because those were the two most difficult.
So we were working between Mitchell Spur and I-84 on this rock cliff, and it's all made out of basalt. And so in order to do a tunnel, you need to get rock information, the type of rock, how hard is it, how strong is it.
I was responsible for the design of the walls on the project. So where we're standing now, Behind me, there'll be a trail. It's leading up to a tunnel that will go through Mitchell Point. The new tunnel will be modern on the inside. Everything will be robust, modern, reinforced concrete. But on the outside, the facing will all be similar stonework to what's been used historically in the gorge.
You know, I was once asked, what's the difference between renovation and restoration? Renovation is to renew. In some senses, to make better. Restoration is to restore so that people could walk back in time to 1915 and see those same views.
Good infrastructure is the key to creating livable communities. And good infrastructure that respects our history is even better.
You'll see that there's portal openings, small windows that are arched throughout the railing. That's similar to the historic railings as well as the new railings that will be along the full length of the trail.
I had a table that I would set up, so then I'd look out, I'd see the majestic Columbia, and I'd see just all the transportation, the train that went by all the time, and the barges, and the airplanes, and cars. It's like, wow, this is just an amazing thoroughfare.
Whatever comes to you in visiting a special place like this, what I want for most people is to have that experience, to get underserved communities the opportunity.
Porque aunque tengan muchos años viviendo mucha gente aquí, no conoce lugares. Y ahí los llevas y esto, y pues dice, wow, tantos años de vivir aquí y no lo había conocido. Pues es maravilloso.
Once it's open, my family is going to go. We're going to check it out. Absolutely.
Looking back on the project, I feel really fortunate to have been a part of it and provide opportunities for people to connect with the scenic area as well as the history of the region.
Just waiting for the moment that I can visit and see that view that so many others before me got to see before it was removed.
It's an amazing project, an amazing part of our legacy, as the Mitchell Point Tunnel is the key piece to all 73 miles of historic highway being fully restored. I can't wait and excited to join you on a ride when we put it all together.
Any questions anybody have?
Hirsch has something?
Well, just a comment.
Highway is really the legacy of the whole Department of Transportation and the whole.
Seeing Kevin Price, him and I was risk management and he was the manager of Rooster Rock. And back in '97, that man had that vision. And I'm just thoroughly impressed that he stayed on the course. And I can just, next year, I'm putting it on our ride schedule. Guaranteed.
And Hirsch, I gotta say the same thing about Jeanette Close. She was the one there in the orange. I mean, she did that job when she was an employee of ODOT and has done it basically full time without pay for probably been 20 years now.
Yeah, I know Kevin's retired now, but he had the same passion in '97 when I met with him on some risk management issues up on the gorge. And he knew I was a cyclist, and he said, what about this? What about that? So I just love seeing people with passion that keep the course, and next year, Mary Ann and I are riding it, guaranteed.
Good. I don't know what the dollar figure is that has gone into all these, it's gotta be in the hundreds of millions of dollars, though, because there's been some pretty major structures that have been built specifically for the bike trail.
Well, as a organizer of bike rides and stuff, I've learned that things like this are not money down a route hole. It's really big economic development.
Yeah, all the communities like Mosier and communities like that are saying that very same thing. They have seen businesses prosper that were going under before.
This weekend, Mary Ann and I are doing Tour de France out of the little town of Powers. And they figured out that cyclists can help that old logging town. And they raise money. So, yeah, Mosier, this is just going to be big for the whole state.
Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation, by the way.
And in that, I was doing some research for a vacation we're doing, and there's this place up Myra Canyon. It's up in BC, and it's old railroad trellises that they rebuilt, and you're taking the whole old rail path. And yeah, it's 18 man-made trellises, 2 steel bridges, and 2 tunnels. So it's and you can hike or walk it or bike it, but yeah, it's so something like within the canyon.
This is just great stuff.
Yeah.
As a cyclist, the more we get people out there riding, the safer I feel when I'm riding.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, thank you, Rick. That's great.
Thank you very much.
And it definitely is something that we all need to try and do as it opens up fully. And
it's called the Gorge Ride, right?
Yeah, if you go on the Friends of the Historic Columbia River Highway, under events, you'll find all the information.
Next year, for sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll move on to number 5, which is the community member input, or committee member input, I'm sorry, and the neighborhood association reports. I guess we'll start with Tammy. Do you have any input for anything?
No, nothing today, thank you.
Okay.
But she did attend a neighborhood association meeting.
Yes, I was gonna let you.
Oh.
You're fearless leader.
Wait till I get.
Okay. Stephen, any?
Only if anybody's planning a trip to Steens Mountain, wait until July, otherwise you'll be stuck at the base with the mosquitoes.
Oh,
because
my
they
God.
haven't opened the door,
you've been
the
there.
road to the summit. Yeah. We were there last week.
Yeah, it's a crazy spring, summer, almost.
Yeah, for people who haven't hiked the Cascades, I don't do anything until after the first week of August. Because I didn't want to get carried away by mosquitoes.
I don't have anything right now, and I, again, have had a previously booked engagement on the last CUPSR meeting for neighborhood association, so I don't have anything for that either. David, any input?
I'm back.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back.
You're just wearing the wrong shirt.
I knew you'd appreciate this, so I left it on.
Okay, Hirsch. So.
For reports, I gave a report, a written report about the bike skills fair. It was hampered by environmental. It rained really hard. The police were wonderful, and the volunteers from West Keizer and Safe Routes to School and the committee members that showed up. We had 5 kids we did the instruction in the lobby and fitted 5 helmets. So it wasn't a complete waste. I would like to talk with Sergeant Leday to think about something in September, maybe the 17th or 24th.
Is there a reason for that?
School.
Because do you want to do it after school opens or before?
After school opens. West Keizer, the representative from West Keizer was going to be checking with their group to see if we wanted to do a small one during the summer. So we're still open for that. Good news, bad news, Safe Routes to School. McCrae Carmichael is no longer the Safe Routes to School coordinator. She was promoted within the Council of Governments into a permanent planning position. So I don't know how the Safe Routes to School, how they're going to fill the position and timing wise. That's literally found out Monday on that. And Northwest Keizer Neighborhood Association had their second meeting last night. And we had, our guest speaker was Lieutenant Copeland, and he talked about some safety issues related to car thefts and stuff, and just kind of gave a little bit of ideas of how we can, as a neighborhood, can tap resources and stuff. And he talked a little bit about some of the work that the police department as well as Public Works had done with West Keizer, and said that's kind of the thing, the way that if we come up with issues, that would be handled. That's about all I have, other than every first Thursday through August, Mary Ann and I are leading a family fun ride from Keizer Rapids Park at 6 p.m.
Local, just a short
Yeah,
one?
depending who shows up, either we'll do the 12-mile loop around Windsor Island Road up Ravina and back, or if it's more kids, we might just do the ride to Wallace House, which is about 6 miles, or the other route is to go to Spawn's Landing, because the Marion County has done a lot of improvements there, including a nice new big toy and everything. So we have 3 routes, depending on who shows up. The last one this month, some people that wanted to, well, let's do the 12, so we did the 12, but we didn't do it fast.
When do you do that? Which night?
The first Thursday of each month at 6 p.m., starting at the big toy.
I was going to, regarding the educational event we had, Mike, is the Public Works going to have not an open house, but a event this summer down at Keizer Rapids or anything?
I'm not sure.
Not
I'm not
on your-
sure. I haven't heard much discussion on that, or hasn't been a lot of discussion on it as of yet.
Because Salem just did theirs today.
Yeah.
Hirsch,
That's always good to piggyback our bicycle event.
Yeah,
or
oh,
something
yeah.
like that.
yeah. Hirsch, that one street, several meetings ago, we had someone come in. It's in your new thing that's got that
Willow
little
Lake.
curve.
Yeah, Willow Lake.
Did that ever get addressed?
Well, Mike, the Willow Lake curve. Where there were
We put
parking.
no parking as you come around the corner there and you head west, and that was established by Bill Lawyer. And then when you pull out of the apartment complex and you look to the west, no. And not meaning it wasn't addressed, but looked into, and sometimes there's cars, sometimes there's not. There's
Right.
public parking, and I understood, what was talked about, but.
And right now, it's kind of a mess because they're putting in the new cell phone tower. And it's like, well, we'll just live with it for now. But that might be an issue that will come back to the neighborhood association, and then we'll come here.
Okay. Yeah,
One thing with Willow Lake, this summer during our paving project, we're gonna be widening that section as you're headed east to Windsor Island Road on the south side. So right now, that's kind of, right there where you go to stop at the stop sign, we're gonna widen that somewhat just to help with the traffic that comes around the corner and give it just a little more room there at the end. So not a big thing, but just saw something where we could, while we're there paving, because we'll be doing Windsor Island Road. So let's fix an issue while we're there, so.
Tammy, make sure we have notes, we can mention that to the meeting next month. Because sometimes I forget things.
You do.
Yeah.
Well, you got a lot going on, so. Okay, well, thank you. Rick, any?
Yeah, the planning commission meeting was canceled, but I did attend the city council meeting last week. There's several items here I'll mention real briefly. They not necessarily directly impact our mission, but as Keizer citizens, I think it's kind of interesting. In the roundabout, there's going to be sculptures there. They're called the 4 Dancing Cows. So I'm kind of anxious to see what that looks like. And I think, if I understood correctly, they'll be installed in June, which we're in June now, so maybe we'll see them here pretty shortly. Lori Christopher mentioned that some of the utility boxes on River Road, they're planning on putting some kind of murals or some kind of paintings on these utility boxes. It still needs approval from utility companies and that sort of thing, but it's something that the Art Commission's working on. There's going to be a statue of Sasquatch at Keizer Rapids. So there already is,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, we've
so-
seen him
So
running through.
that'll make me and my grandson happy because nobody else in our family believes that Sasquatch is real, but he and I kind of think, I don't know. The Eagle at the corner of River Road and Shamawa, the city is purchasing it. The property owner there, Schoolhouse Square, is chipping in, I think it was $5,000. And the city another 10 to purchase that sculpture, so it'll stay there permanently. The city council approved amending the police services fee that would support, I think it was 5 additional officers. Representative from the Chariots were there and talked about reestablishing the free passes for youth on the Chariot bus system. And the city council approved $30,000 as a share towards that. The city of Salem and the Chariots themselves will also put in funding for that. So that would affect that kids going to school, certainly, and after school. City Manager Brown talked about the pros and cons and costs and so forth of artificial turf for the new fields at Keizer Rapids versus natural grass. City Council voted to go with the artificial turf option on that. They approved the contract with Knife River for the paving this summer, so you'll see that. Bill Lawyer talked about the contractor that's supposed to be maintaining some of the bioswales and some of the newer projects around town has not really been fulfilling what they're supposed to do, and they've kind of given them the ultimate, either get it done now or we're gonna have to cancel your contract. So he was hopeful that they will get it done now rather than having to start all over with trying to find somebody else. And then last, Mayor Clark talked about the ACT, the area transportation, committees on transportation. At their last meetings, there was actually an Oregon Transportation Commissioner that came to the meeting. She was pretty excited about that. That's the first time, I guess, that's ever happened. So maybe we'll see more coordination between these local committees that's made up of mayors and those sorts of things, and the State Transportation Commission. So I think, Michael, that's it.
Okay. And just for that, the thing about the amending for the police fee, is it amending to get more police?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 5 additional.
No, that's not right.
Nope, okay.
It's just to maintain it.
Maintain.
Maintain.
That we have.
Okay.
Oh, would the 5 have gone away if it wasn't amended then?
I'm not sure how they would have handled it. And I have one other correction. The dancing cows they're actually one-dimensional, made out of metal, and they have hula hoops. And they are to go around in the inside of the roundabout. But the June date was probably for next June because we have to get, the commission has to get grants. And they are talking to an artist right now, and they're talking to Rick Smith, who did the artwork on River Road called Entwined in front of Copper Creek, and further down by the church and the dentist office, the Iron Glory, those are both his. And we're talking to him about maybe doing the cows. So it's in the beginning stages. It's going to happen. We've chosen the artwork from the artist, but
Okay, so June
it still
of
takes
next year.
probably
Lori
June
just
of
said
next
June,
year. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Debbie.
Thank you. Maybe you know this, is there any more talk about other roundabouts ever going in the city? I know that was our dipping our toe in the water, get people used to them.
No, not more talk about any other in the city. I know we're pleased with the roundabout that's there, and it's really helped things, and it was quite a benefit, we feel, so, but
Okay,
that's that.
I'm going to put my 2 cents in.
go for it.
Shoreline and Windsor Island. Okay.
Well, if we're gonna put 2 cents in, then I say McLeod going, crossing Lock Haven.
Boy, that's great.
All right.
These are long-term stuff.
Yeah. Seeing no more 2 cents putting in, we'll go back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of things. Recently, we've started the legwork on a stormwater project on McLeod, which would be at the north end of McLeod. There's a 36-inch line that's in need of some work. We're going to do a realignment job, and we just sent that over to AKS, our engineers, to begin design work, and that's to go out to bid this coming January. So, kind of fun. It'll be a good project, and we'll take care of an issue that we have right now. So, that's coming down the pike. And then another thing I don't think I discussed, but we are getting a new VATCON here shortly in August. Our current VATCON is a 2008, so we've had it 14 years, and it's done its job, and we put in the budget for this year for a new one, and we'll take possession in August. It's currently in Florida being built, and it'll end up here, hopefully in time for the Keizer Fest parade. So.
How's that for vacuuming manholes and so forth?
To clean our storm lines, to clean all our catch basins and run our lines and deal with various stormwater issues to keep our streets safe and clear.
Who's gonna fly down and drive it back?
Everybody wants to, but the companies.
Who's gonna volunteer?
You're gonna volunteer, okay.
Kurt, you wanna go for a ride?
Yeah, I'll bring my bike.
How many weeks are we allowed to bring it
I
back?
can make it back from Florida and, well, I can do it in 5 days. Done it in 4 days.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes.
Mike pointed out further down in the minutes, the exact verbiage that you had said. Mike DeBlasi suggested that the committee be included in review of street projects when they are still in the conceptual stage before they go to engineering to provide input. So that's already in the minutes. It's just not under you. It's further up. It's on page 2.
okay.
So with the committee's permission, I'll just say the minutes were approved and not amended. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Sergeant Ledet.
Not much to add, other than we're working with Public Works right now just to make sure that the studies get done properly over on Cummings right now, and that's why we're doing a third one too.
Okay. And I noticed there was the flasher sign on Mandarin for a while there, and most people respected it. Okay, well, looks like, oh, what? Yes.
I have a question for you,
Mhm,
Mr. Chair.
sure.
You had a speed study with lights on Willow Lake.
A speed study with lights.
Well, there was your speed.
The radar reader board?
Reader board. What prompted that? And
So whenever we get complaints of speeding vehicles in neighborhoods,
yeah,
then we actually have 2 reader boards that we can deploy. And so
like one of them got destroyed according to Copeland.
we've had a couple destroyed. So they've been hit by most likely drunk drivers, both hit and runs. One of them was solved, but the night before, we believe most likely alcohol was a factor with it. But we have gotten them replaced, and so we do still have 2 that we deploy out on a regular basis.
Okay.
I guess it's like moths to the flame, huh?
Yeah.
They just-
But did you, any results from that, or?
So when we put those out, they're not designed for speed studies.
Okay.
So those are there for just informational purposes to remind people of their speeds. So if they're going over excessive speeds, they're programmed to give some flashing lights as far as to get the driver's attention in order to slow them down.
Okay.
And about 99% of the time it works, and the 1%, some people like to see how fast they could go. So those are just the pros and cons, but for the most part, it has a positive effect on local traffic.
My wife moves those around for the Keizer Police as a volunteer. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay, doesn't look like we have Council Member Smith tonight, so we will just move on to adjourning, unless anyone has something else.
Just one other thing related to the Scenic Bikeway program with the state parks. I know at one time you applied for that position and some other people. Well, the state contracted that out to Cycle Oregon. So they're actually managing, designing that for the state. The state has oversight, and I have no idea if they've hired anybody. I saw a posting, but most likely it'll be a Portland area, since Keizer does have the oldest scenic bikeway, the Willamette, going right through. It would be important for us to kind of find out, keep track of it, so.
Okay, thank you. All right,